Okay. Well, we're the Mardi team, Mardi Gras. We're excited to be here today. We'll be talking about working with smart DER asset management. So basically, our proposal is going to seek to create a DER integration model using sort of data, community, and financial aspects to unlock the economic value of DER assets currently in the state of New York. We'll specifically be focusing in the downstate New York area, specifically in the Brewster service zone for the firm, and we'll go into why. But overall, the challenges and opportunities in terms, DERs, they're seen as disrupting the traditional utility model, which used to be procuring power from generators and sending it to consumers. Now we're sort of seeing more two-way transmission and more uneven, uncertain demand and supply, leading to more opportunities for grid services. Specifically, DERs themselves, they're assets, and so they can provide value through cheap energy and data collection. Specifically for the firm, though, we believe a challenge is that upstate New York actually has a relatively saturated renewables development and stabilizing energy demand, and so it actually reduces the potential for demand for grid services there. And so we think the opportunity actually lies in the Brewster service area located in downstate New York, where there's going to be increasing DER installation and increasing demand, which will drive the need for more of a service-oriented grid. So the specific benefits, if we look at that region has the highest concentration of solar PV and EV for all the regions that you guys serve. So we're looking at about 140 megawatts of solar installed, that 30 megawatt hours storage deployed, a higher proportion of Tesla superchargers. So we're looking at trying to estimate EV numbers. Other regional benefits include the favorable policies and investment environment, which will lead to an increased usage or installation of these DERs, higher income, so they're more likely to have smart homes, smart assets. It's less rural, so there's going to be less distance between their solar panels. For aggregation, we think that this will have implications for fixed costs for our project, and then finally a high hosting capacity, but in order to reduce infrastructure costs. But yeah, let's go into the proposal.
So to be clear, our focus isn't really on increasing the aggregated resources out there, but it's actually providing a digital asset management service and energy service to the consumers, whether it's a residential dwelling or if it's a facility that uses distributed solar and storage. So we believe that by empowering these distributed resources and allowing us to leverage the resources as the asset manager, we can allow those resources to enter the broader market and really maximize the monetary value they've invested into those resources. So one of the tools we need is, and we believe will help, is a digital app or a digital platform. So in general, I think consumers would be interested in seeing their data, seeing prices throughout the day, and in peaks and valleys, understanding how they can actually make a better impact with their own footprint. Also, through this portal, we want to allow these distributed resources to enter into the DERs, to opt in. And then finally, in addition to providing better data to consumers, we believe that, and DERs and utilities, we believe that the collective resource could allow things like collective bargaining for future installations or preventative maintenance contracts. And finally, how can we actually make money? How can we monetize this? And we think there's at least a couple streams. So there's pure market arbitrage, which we looked at the existing storage opportunity. We looked at the existing off-peak and on-peak rates, and we found that there's about $120,000 per year in opportunity of just pure market arbitrage. And then the bigger market is probably the frequency regulation, and we see about $320,000 per year of regulating reserves in the Brewster market.
So in terms of the benefits for the firm, so we're looking at, for example, with the EAM's payment system. We think that the best way to lobby the government for these funds comes through a per added DER based on an estimated service fee. And this can phase out as efficiency gains catch up. But we think that this supports the idea that the goal should be to onboard DERs into the grid as quickly as possible to get these data points. Obviously, there will be NWAs from capital investments not made in the region to offset demand, supply, and stability. So for example, a big part of that could come from not having to transmit constrained renewable energy from upstate to downstate, because that transmission in the state of New York is extremely constrained right now. And then finally, no extra infrastructure costs for the project. So a lot of this is going to come from the fact that you guys have technologies already being implemented by the DSIP. This model is actually in line with that company's strategic direction. We're simply trying to choose the best place to leverage them. And then finally, this can be a model for others in the state of New York, perhaps allowing a service expansion in the future.
So those technologies are basically supporting our model. And in conclusion, and effective case location, more assets, more potential growth, legs of triangle, data, community, and financing, quickly onboarding there, supporting digital solutions to increase efficiency, leading to higher profits. Approaches, think locally, act globally. Thank you.
So sorry, we ran out of time there for the end.
Did you have a question that you wanted to start with, Hara? Or
yeah, I was thinking about, you have to speak about the EVs and the storage. They have to produce and use the energy in the correct moment of the curve. Okay, have you think about how to penalize maybe, or how much effect to the system when the people, the users, doesn't do the things what they have to do? There is a lot of problem inside the program, the platform. Have you studied about that, how to manage that?
so if people sign up for that program to provide the grid services, but don't end up actually providing them, how do you, is there a penalty for that?
But it's just an economic penalty, just that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think
excuse me, this is my question, because here in the project that we are developing here in Spain, in Iberdrola, this is our main problem, because you have a perfect model that no one follows. How do you want to solve, how you can, you think you can solve this?
Yeah, so I think what we're really looking at, so let's use a house as an example because it's easy to understand, right? So you have a solar PV, you've got a storage, whether it's a power pack or an EV itself, right? That's able to actually put the power somewhere in, let's say, opportune moments. So with this DER platform, our idea was more around, so the house exists, it owns these assets, but by opting into the program, you're actually ceding control of those assets to the utility.
Okay, you can control the assets, but if you follow the rules, or if you define a good rules for the program and for the assets, you can minimize the assets and make a cheaper system. No?
Could you restate that? I'm sorry.
If you design a rules in the system, and you have the assets, you have the storage that you need, you have all the solar capacity that you need. If you can manage the program, the data better, you can build cheaper the system, the solar panels and the EVs. Have you thought about the digital part, the program part?
I think actually a great example of, I think where you're leading is, when you look at, let's talk about Texas specifically, the deregulated market they have there, and you look at a company like MP2 Energy that deploys utility scale solar on consumers' houses, right? They pay for the rooftop panel and they lock you into a fixed rate. But the way they actually make money, besides arbitraging in the market itself, is by over installing panels. So if you need 20 kilowatt hours a day in your house, they're actually installing 40, and they're controlling that asset to sell back to the grid.
Okay.
So based on that, if a company is the owner of the DER asset, right? And it is the company then that is providing the capacity from the asset to participate in these program. Where does that leave the customer who installed solar or storage on their house, thinking they were going to sort of be the beneficiary of all of the, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I guess I probably shouldn't have used MP2 as an example, because again,
well, it's a good question. I mean, there's a similar, you would run into a similar problem here in New England. But thanks for installing solar panels. Now we're going to sell all their capacity to, make profit for ourselves. What's the give and take there?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. When I think of this, when you put the solar panels in your house, you're obviously trying to leverage a social mission and potentially cheaper rates, but I think we all know that that's not actually paying itself off very well. So when I think of storage and then pricing back into the market. And if I paid for this, let's say $40,000 system of PV plus storage, and I have opted into the DER, how do I feel like I'm not taking advantage of? Is that kind of where you're going, James?
Well, if I'm going to install solar on my house, I'm probably doing it under the pretext that it's because it's going to benefit me.
Yeah.
Not because I'm going to donate my house as a platform for a solar aggregator to make money. So
yeah, I think
that's,
I think we were intending to only skim the excess, right? We weren't trying to bait and switch during peak periods.
Thank you. We're out of time.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
thank you.